Good afternoon, everybody. This is Pastor Les from Fire of Hope Ministries, and this is the third in a series of simple explanations of the Bible, the world as it is today. Try and help you to understand what is taking place. For many people, the Bible and religion, which I don't believe in, is a very complicated issue, and everybody has their own ideas, and so why bother? Well, I'm here to help you bother, and hopefully I can explain in simple language what is taking place. Now, yesterday I finished up talking about, we talked about Abraham, and we talked about the fact that he had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was born 14 years before Isaac, which made him a teenage boy when Isaac was born. Now, traditionally in Hebrew culture, the firstborn had a blessing upon their life, and the father would always pray that blessing of God onto the firstborn. But I also explained that God had promised Abraham a child of his own through his line. But Sarah, his wife, didn't believe in that, and she laughed and scorned. And so she sent Abraham into her maid Hagar, who, which was also Jewish custom in those days, that if you couldn't have a child yourself, you went into your brother or whatever it was, and to keep the lineage alive. So Abraham went into Hagar, and Ishmael was born. And Ishmael and Hagar ridiculed Sarah because she could not have children. And eventually Sarah got very tired of this and told Abraham to get rid of them. While Abraham loved them, he did get rid of them and cast them out into the desert. Now, the Bible tells us God said that Isaac would be blessed, but Ishmael would be blessed as well, and that he would become a great nation, just as Isaac would become a great nation. But he also said that Ishmael would be a man of war, and that he would be against everybody, and everybody would be against him. And so, to cut a very long story short, Ishmael became the father of the Arabs as we know it, and the Arab nations, and eventually Islam. And this is not the time or place to go into how all that happened, but basically Ishmael, Arabs, and Islam, a great nation. Isaac, on the other hand, he came and became Jacob, he became Israel, and he became the Jews today, the great nation. And so I want to look at today at what I said yesterday about why there can never be peace in the Middle East. Why there can never be peace in the Middle East. Now, I said to you yesterday also that Satan in heaven was an archangel. It was called Lucifer. He rebelled against God and he was cast down to earth. So he's down here with a third of the angels who became the demons. They're running around messing up everybody. So I want to have a look today at Jerusalem. I said yesterday that Jerusalem was this rock, and the whole world is against Jerusalem. Except for the Christians, of course, we're not against them. Although I would say at this point in time, a lot of Christians are against Israel. And I want to tell you to your face that if you are against Israel as a Christian, then God is against you. You need to go and sort that out. You need to think about that, because when we become Christians, the Bible tells us that we get grafted into Israel. So you are a Jew, whether you like it or not. And Genesis chapter 12, God says, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. So if you're cursing Israel, whoever you are, you're cursed. Think about that. Okay, I want to have a look at Jerusalem. I mentioned yesterday that Jerusalem is this little rock. The whole world is against it, the United Nations and all the different countries of the world. What on earth is going on with this rock, for goodness sake? It's an amazing place. It is truly an amazing place. I want you to have a look at this little diagram. I'm not much of a drawer, but I've made a circle there, which is Jerusalem. And that is the place. It's called Mount Moriah. It's called the mountain of the Lord. That's where God chose to live on earth. That's where he wanted to live on earth. That's where he chose to be worshipped by people. So that's his choice. It's called Mount Moriah. It's called the mountain of the Lord. Now that is the place where God told Abraham to take his son Isaac and sacrifice him. Now, we can see that up here. Abraham told to go and sacrifice Isaac. So Abraham took Isaac up to this mountain, because that's all it was at that time. There was no body or nothing there. He took him up and he had Isaac carry his own wood on his back. And we sort of think, why on earth would God tell anybody to sacrifice their own son? Well, it's what we call a type or a picture. Type or a picture is an act that happened in the Old Testament, and it foretells something that's going to happen in the New Testament in our time. And so Abraham took Isaac up there. He laid him out on the altar. Isaac was at least 14 years old. He wasn't a young boy like we picture it, like a lot of paintings depict. They picture a very young boy. He wasn't. He was a teenage boy. He was at least 14 years old, which means that in their culture he was a man. He would have been incredibly strong. He probably could have knocked his father flat on his back if he wanted to. But he submitted, and then an angel came and pointed out a sheep that was caught in the thicket, and Abraham sacrificed the sheep. So there was an alternative to Isaac getting sacrificed. That alternative was the sheep. And so it is a picture and a type of Jesus getting sacrificed for us. We have to be sacrificed because of our sin. But God said, no, I will substitute you for my son. The fact that Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son allowed God to be willing to sacrifice his son, save you from your sin, and restore you to the Father. The sacrificial lamb, Jesus is called. The substitute. He was substituted in your place so that you could live for all eternity. So coming back to Jerusalem, we see that this is the place where Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac. This is the place where the Ark of the Covenant, after it had been stolen by the Philistines and brought all kinds of curses upon them, was taken back from the Philistines. They sent it away. They decided they'd get rid of it. They didn't want it messing them around. Sorry, I forgot to switch the Ark of the Covenant here. And the Jews, King David decided to put the ark in a safe place while he decided what God wanted to do with it. And he went to this farmer. He had a threshing floor where he had two rocks, one on top of the other. He used to grind the grain. A whole bunch of stories about that. But he left the Ark of the Covenant there, and that man blossomed. So did his neighbours. The blessing of the Lord flourished all around them because he believed and received the Ark of the Lord and believed the word of God. Philistines didn't, and it cursed them. He believed it, and he was blessed. So David's temple later on was built there as well. Solomon's temple, that is supposed to be, not David's temple. It was readied by King David and built by Solomon. And so that was Solomon's temple. It all happened there at the same place. Now, later on, during the end times, there will come a time when the Jews will build a third temple, and that will also go there. So, people, this is an amazing place. All of this, and there's some 3,000 years between some of these things that I've depicted on this page. But it all happened in Jerusalem, on this rock. And we wonder why the world fights. What we've got is Ishmael and Islam coming down the one side, and we've got Isaac and the blessing coming down the other side. Now remember I said to you, Satan got cast out of heaven. He wanted to be worshipped as God. God wouldn't tolerate that. He won't tolerate idol worship from anybody. And he was cast down to the earth. Well, he's still down here. He's still messing up most people's lives. And he still wants you to worship him. I'll talk about that later. But while this situation goes on and everybody is wanting to take Jerusalem, this is what the Dome of the Rock is, with the big golden dome. You've seen it there in the centre of old Jerusalem, where the Arabs and the they have the mosque there. Islam, the Muslims have their mosque there. Although it's not really a mosque, there's a bit of controversy about how that got there. I've read many articles that said that originally that was a very early church because it's built over a rock, which they think is the rock of the threshing floor, but it's hard to believe because it's pointy and it's all rough. But at the moment, the Arabs have it, the Muslims have it. They want it. The Jews want it because they think that's where the third temple's going to be built, and everybody wants this rock. So tomorrow we'll talk some more about where that's going to go and how that is going to work. In the meantime, I say good day. Bless you and stay safe. This is Pastor Les from Fire of Hope Ministries.